Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Grand Cat and today we are going to be looking at the first of our Endo-Series. This is, for all intents and purposes, 3 figures in one, at least that's the way that they are marketing it. It is the original Freddy, it is the Endo-01, and it is the Withered Freddy. So what Withered Freddy is supposed to be sort of... Now, there's a lot of speculation as to whether Withered Freddy is actually the Freddy from the first game, or if Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was actually a prequel, and that the Withered Freddy is actually from a much, much earlier point in time. Now, the 2 little buttons on his chest here are what depicts that it might be a different Freddy. The 2 little buttons on his chest are actually on the toy animatronic, but they're not on the original one, so very unusual. But let's just get into the figure rather than getting into the lore. So there's 4 in this Endo-Series that are Classic Freddy, Classic Bonnie, Classic Chica, and Classic Foxy, and each one is presumably going to come with their own Withered version as well. Now, there is a special edition of this particular figure, and I do not have it. It seems to be American exclusive, and I tried finding it, I tried purchasing it, not available. But it's the exact same figure, comes with the exact same Freddy here, but on the other side, instead of having the Withered Freddy, it has the Shadow Freddy, which is very, very cool. I wouldn't mind getting hold of that, but if I can't get it, I can't get it, and unfortunately that is just how it's going to have to be. But I do have the Withered Bonnie on its way, and hopefully it will have arrived and will hopefully be unboxed by the time that you see this video, so that the Withered Bonnie can happen immediately after this video goes up. And by immediately after, I mean the following day, as I am uploading these Five Nights at Freddy's figures each day. And let's go ahead and open this up. Normally my unboxing videos are every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, but because I wanted to get these out as quickly as possible. Oh, this is very cool. So the backdrop of the figure actually looks... Oh, we've actually got some instructions here as well. So that is pretty cool. But the backdrop is actually like the area from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Let's go ahead and keep that up there. So here is our figures, and it comes with a plastic seal on the top of them, and there we go, that is now removed. And these are essentially casings, they are not actual figures themselves, so you can see that they just entirely fall apart. The idea is the only figure is the Endo-01, which we're going to bring out here, and we're going to try and keep these parts together if we can. Oh my goodness, the jaw is falling off and everything. I'm hoping that you can all see that. So when I display this on my shelf, I'm only going to have it as the Withered Freddy. So we're going to take a look at the endoskeleton, and we're going to take a look at regular Freddy first. So this is going to be essentially 3 videos in one. Now the knee joint is very, very stiff. We're going to have to work on that. We don't want to break it. But there we go. And there is the other knee joint. So we do have knee articulation, we've got knee swivel, we've got the hip swivel, we've got the ankle swivel that's on a ball point as well. So it does have a lot of very cool articulation. We do not have a waist swivel, we do not... Oh, we do have a head swivel. Interesting. The shoulders are again very, very stiff. I just want to be very careful with them. I do not want to go breaking those, because otherwise we will essentially be breaking 3 figures as opposed to 1. And this Endo-Series is not exactly cheap. It's not like you get 3 figures for 1, it's more like you are paying for 2.5 figures. I believe the price that I paid for this one was $24.99, if memory serves correctly, and I believe that the regular figures were $9.99, I think, or possibly $8.99. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but there is our Endo figure. And what we're going to do is we're going to just very quickly show a 360 of Endo-01. This is, of course, the first of the Endo figures. I think there's an Endo-01 and an Endo-02. I think you in Ultimate Custom Night you find Endo-03 and Endo-04, but in the original games you only see Endo-01 and Endo-02, and they are almost kind of Easter eggs. They are quite secretly hidden. They don't like come into your regular gameplay, as it were. So there is our Endo-01. So you can see that he has a whole bunch of holes all over him. Now I think the idea is, if you're wanting to collect these and you're a perfectionist, the idea is to buy 3 of these figures, so that you've got the Endo figure, so that you've got the classic figure, and so that you've got the Withered figure. I am currently only planning to buy 1. Now I don't know whether that will change, but at the moment my idea is that I only realistically want to buy the one of them. Now let's take a quick look here at the instructions. This is what it says that you are to do, and just realised my thumb was covering a little bit of it there. So if anyone wants to try and look at the instructions, there you go. You can go ahead and screenshot that if you need to. Held it up there for just long enough, and we are going to try our best to put them together without the help of the instructions. So I don't really want to go putting this up too much further than that, because I don't want these parts falling out. But there is what we are working with, and each part of this is going to come out like so. There you can see that the jaw comes off. Now the head should split apart as well, according to the instructions. I can also see where the 2 little placements are, but we're going to have to be careful about this, because we don't want to go snapping any of the little parts. It's interesting that the hat also splits in half, but this is what's going to go over the face part there, and is going to use the eyes of the endoskeleton for the eyes of our Freddy. Now, what's really interesting is that this part here, the mask part, reminds me of the mask that you actually use in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 to confuse the animatronics, to make them think that you are an animatronic, because, well, they're not going to put another animatronic into an animatronic, that would be silly, but if they see a human that isn't in an animatronic suit, then they will try to stuff you into one, and that's how you get a game over. Now, it feels like it's a little bit stuff here. I think there's actually a third hidden peg underneath the hat. Now, normally I like to do these videos entirely, with no jump cuts, but I think if we're going to be dealing with something like this every single time, that I think we are maybe going to have a couple of jump cuts. That there is pretty cool, just as the Five Nights at Freddy's mask. That would be very cool if they ever brought out a security guard figure. But so literally, it just clips right onto the front of the face there, and you can actually see the eyes actually match up perfectly, which is very, very cool indeed. Now, do we have to attach the lower jaw first, or do we attach the figure first? I am unsure. I'm unsure of how this lower mask, the lower jaw, actually clips in. I'm sure that there's some way that it does. I'm trying to look for anything in the back that might do that or not. I'm hoping that don't accidentally screw this up, and that by the time that I do this, that it is too late to attach the lower jaw. I'm not seeing realistically anything here that... Oh, I see it now. See here, this little circle part there? There actually is a little bit with a jaw where that actually clicks into, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get that in now. Nope, no, we're going to have to take the mask back off once again. Oh my goodness, this is tedious to say the least, but it's very cool that it's so well thought out. But if you are doing this, make sure that you do the jaw before you do anything else, because that's the part that you need to take care of before the rest of the animatronic. And that's how you build up your Freddy. So because that did take quite a bit of time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video there, and we are going to set up the rest of our figure just off screen, and we'll be back in just a moment. Just thought I would show a very brief part of him, just in the middle of being changed. And here we are. He did take a while to put together, but he does look really good once you've got him. Now, in terms of articulation, the legs are still pretty good, but the knees suddenly become a lot less flexible because you've got this little kneecap here, and it hits across the back of the plastic in the back. The feet are actually entirely different because you actually have to remove the original feet to place on the new feet. So that is how that works. The same with the hands. You take off the animatronic endoskeleton hands and replace them with just the actual Freddy hands. One of the cool things is he does have an openable jaw. It doesn't open tremendously wide, but there you can see, and he does have the inner mouth as well, which is true to the figure. Another thing is you're almost always going to get these lines in the middle, regardless of how tightly you clamp them. It's still going to show up there. But he does have a little bit of articulation. He does have a significant waist swivel, and of course you can move the head as well. But unfortunately, with all the parts of the plastic covering the figure, it does really hinder his mobility in quite a bit. Now let's do a quick comparison of this version of the original Freddy with the actual original Freddy, and you can see that there is quite the difference. You can see that this new version is actually significantly taller. The colours are very different. I think the colours on this one are actually closer, they're truer to the way that Freddy actually is. They've made him significantly taller, but I do really like the way the face looks. That is very, very interesting. It is quite cool, and let's just compare him with the new toy version of Freddy as well. So there you can see the three of them all standing next to one another, and what we're going to do now is we're going to take the original Freddys away, well, the original Freddy and the toy Freddy away, and let's do a full 360 of this version of Freddy so that you can see exactly what the full version of him looks like. I think it's very, very cool. I would like it if it didn't have these lines everywhere where all the plastic parts connect, but I don't know how there would be any realistic way to fix them. I think those are just, you know, you kind of have to make do with them. but it's a lot more interesting than what I expected. So next up, we're going to be taking a look at the Withered version of Freddy, and we'll be taking all these parts off and we'll putting all the Withered parts onto the endoskeleton for the Withered version. And the Withered version is the way that I'm going to keep him as well. So this is the only time that you're going to see him as the original version of Freddy, because from this point onwards he's just going to be the Withered one. I do think it's really cool that he's got the openable jaw as well. I think that's a cool feature that the endoskeleton has on the inside. I'm a little bit tempted to buy multiple just so that I can have this version of Freddy alongside the Withered version, but there's also another part of me that doesn't really want to spend £75 4 times, $24.99 each. So one for the endoskeleton, one for the Freddy, one for the Withered Freddy, and then if I'm going to do the same for Bonnie, the regular Bonnie, the endoskeleton O2, the Withered Bonnie, and then 3 for Chica, and then 3 for Foxy, you would be talking about £300 for the set of the figures, and I'm just not sure that I really want to go doing that. So I'm going to pause the video, we're going to take all these parts off and we're going to replace them with the Withered Freddy, and we'll see how that looks. I can actually tell you that getting the parts on are a lot easier than getting them off. Yeah! I can understand why these little bits exist here, because that's where you're supposed to get your fingers in to try and pull these pieces apart, but once they're connected, it's a lot harder to get it off than it was to clip them on. So just be aware of that if you're planning to buy one of these for yourself and you are planning on trying to swap between them. That is my word of warning to all of you out there. And here we are. Here is the Withered version of Freddy, and I'm pretty sure that this is what this was intended to be. We do get a lot of cool articulation, and he's got like a lot more flexibility than what he does in the other one, because the Withered parts are actually a little bit more loose. Another cool thing is that you can see the endoskeleton on the inside of all of these cracks, and I think that is maybe the reason why they'd held off on doing the Withered animatronics until they were able to do something like this. And I think this is why the Withered animatronics do come with the endoskeleton, so that you can actually get the full look of everything that's inside the Withered animatronics. And I think that is very, very cool, the way that it has been done. Now, let's go ahead and bring in the other version of Freddy, now that we've got the Withered version here. So, here is the original first version of the Funko version of Freddy, and here is the brand new Freddy toy animatronic. Ah! I really love that jump scare animation, it's so silly. But it's very interesting that you can see the difference in colours between the Withered version and the regular one. So this has a lot of really, really cool parts to it. I think he actually looks a lot better as the Withered animatronic than he does as the regular version of Freddy. I'm just going to try and pose him just a little bit to be maybe just trying to grab someone. I think that would look kind of cool. There we are. It does give a lot of posability to the character as well. So now we're going to do a full 360 of our Withered animatronic of Freddy. And this is certainly the way that I am going to present him on my shelf. He's actually quite tall and just comes off the camera. So let's see if we bring him down a little touch. Well, that's not going to work either. Let's go ahead and just raise the camera just a little bit. There, that looks pretty cool. So we're going to do an up close and personal 360 first of all of our Withered animatronic, so that you can see him. Now again, it does have these little parts here that have the little lines in them, and if you press them together, they do kind of disappear a little bit, but you can still really see the lines in them. So there's not an awful lot going on with the back of the figure, as you can see. Like a lot of the weathered effect, the weathering is more the front of the figure, but it is still very, very cool all the same. The Withered Freddy is the one that changes the least. Bonnie, of course, has a huge difference because he's missing his face. And Chica and Foxy obviously look a little bit different as well. My goodness, let's go ahead and bring that back there. And there we can see there is our Withered Freddy. Withered Foxy is probably the last one that's going to come out. It's probably going to, I mean, we know that Bonnie is on the way. So Bonnie and Freddy are currently available, and we think that Chica and Foxy will come out a little bit later on. So if they are coming out one at a time, it's probably going to be Chica first and then Foxy, but I suspect they might both release at the same time, so we might get Chica and Foxy at the same time showing up in your various different retailers. So just keep an eye out for them. And there we are. So that is going to be it for this little video, folks, and I really hope that you've all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy it, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. And if you are subscribed, make sure you click that notification icon so that you can see when more of these glorious little videos go out. And we shall see you all in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.